Good afternoon. Before I take questions,
President.
I want to give you a progress report to the nation on where we stand 65 days into office here. I know as a goal before I took office of getting a majority of economic forecasters, 6%. 6%. Well, I'm good. Look, when I took office, so we're going to move. They want to proceed is to just decide to divide the country. I thought the plan I got passed without to solve problems, not. Okay, how about Yamiche? In the last year, it happens every year, and nobody, and by the way, in country, the way when I was a United States Senator, Vice President, putting together to deal with what had been a problem and has been continued to be a problem, the number of beds available, attempting to rebuild the system that can accommodate what is happening today. And I'd like to add the number of people who are coming. The vast majority, the overwhelming majority of people coming to the border and crossing are being sent back. Thousands, tens of thousands of people who are over 18 years of age and single people, one at a time coming, have been sent back, sent home. Their willingness, but today, I went to, for example, and the Secretary of Defense has just made available Fort Bliss, 5,000 beds, be immediately available, 5,000 beds in the Texas border. And the other thing we're doing, I might add, am I giving you too long an answer? Because if you don't want the detail, well, look, I'm going to deal with all of those problems. The question is, take them back, not all of them. We're in negotiations with all be going back. The only people that child crosses the border, a Health and Human Services facility, filibuster. When I came to the United States Senate 120 years ago, and that is that it used to be required for the filibuster, and I had a card on this. I was going to give you the statistics, but you probably know them. That it used to be that from between 19 of our democracy, like the right to vote, like the basic right to vote. We've amended the filibuster in the past. But here's the deal. As you observed, I'm a fairly practical guy. I want to get things done. I want to get them done consistent with what we promised the American people. And in order to do that, in a 50-50 Senate, we've got to get to the place where I get 50 votes so that the Vice President of the United States can break the tie, or I get 51 votes without her. And so I'm going to say something outrageous. I have never been particularly poor at calculating how to get things done in the United States Senate. So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, we're going to get a lot done. And if we have to, okay, hang on. Sorry. Oh, same name, Ms. Kim. If we could end it with 51, we would have no problem. You're going to have to, the existing rule, it's going to be hard to get a parliamentary ruling that allows 50 votes to end the filibuster, the existence of the filibuster. It's not my expertise. Our preoccupation. Let me get here. Okay. Cecilia Vega. Oh, look. The idea that I'm going to say on the kitchen table and say, you know, what I did when President Obama asked me to come and deal. I was in Turkey at the time. He said, you got to come home and take care of them. Mom. That's a serious question, right? Is it acceptable to me? Come on. Ken. And if we leave, we're going to do so in a safe and orderly way. We're in consultation, I say, with our allies and partners and how to proceed. And Secretary Blinken is meeting in Brussels this week with our NATO, the leader, quote, in Afghanistan and Kabul. And we meet. How's that done? But we are not staying a long time.
Do you think it's possible that
we will leave? The question is when we leave. I can't picture that being the case. Okay, Kristen. I have all my chief folks have gone down. I don't know. To be clear.
Too quickly
to roll back what? I'm sorry.
Policies. Did you?
And there's many people coming, and rolling back the policies of separating children from their mothers. I make no apology for that. I make no apologies for that. I make no apologies for any. And so I make no apologies for that. Let me say that, number one, UN Resolution 1718 was violated by those particular missiles that were tested, number one. We're consulting with our allies and partners, and there will be responses if they choose to escalate. We will respond accordingly. But I'm also prepared for some form of diplomacy, but it has to be conditioned upon the end result of denuclearization. So that's what we're doing right now, consulting with our allies.
Just very quick follow-up.
You only got another hour now, okay?
Diplomacy, can you define what you mean, Korea?
Yes. Okay, hang on a second here. Kristen, Nancy, CBS? It's sick. It's sick. Deciding in some states that you cannot absentee ballots under the most rigid circumstances. The Republican voters I know find this despicable. Republican voters. The folks outside this White House. I'm not talking about the elected officials. I'm talking about voters. Voters. My predecessor needed to. My predecessor. Oh God, I miss him.
Have you?
No, the answer is yes. My plan is to run for re-election. That's my expectation. How we work, we're working with a group of 20 members of the Senate right now and House on how we reestablish our ability to make computer chips and how we get ahead of the game. Sure that I would like elected Republican support, electoral support from Republican voters. Republican voters. Well, because they support what I did. Okay, where am I here? Let me see. Caitlin? Successful electoral politics is the art of the possible. Let's figure out how we can get this done and move in the direction of significantly changing the abuse of even the filibuster rule first. It's been abused from the time it came into being by an extreme way in the last 20 years. I answered your question. I said that is my expectation.
So is that a yes, that you are running for re-election?
Look, I don't know where you guys come from, man. I've never been able to travel. I'm a great respecter of fate. I've never been able to plan 3.5 years ahead for certain. I don't even think about it. I have no idea. I have no idea. Do you? I know you don't have to answer my question, but I mean, do you? I mean, look, I want to change the paradigm. I want to change the paradigm. I want to change the paradigm that the cost and the taxes that had to be had, if there is any tax to be had as they talk about it, in dealing with the act that we just passed, which puts money in people's pockets, ordinary people, concerned about the federal budget. It's kind of amazing. When the federal budget is saving people's lives, they don't think it's such a good idea. When that people who are making, if you're a husband and wife, school teacher, and a cop, I'm concerned. Look, I meant what I said when I ran, and a lot of you still think I'm wrong, and I respect that. So I'm running for 3 reasons. They built America, and unions built them. We have to come together. We have to. It's to me, it's about just getting out there, putting one foot in front of the other, being able to make sure that they go to bed not staring at the ceiling like my dad did, wondering whether he didn't have health insurance. These are basic things. Basic things. And I'm of the view that the vast majority of people, including registered Republicans by and large, share that same view, that same sense of what is, what's appropriate. Justin Singh, Bloomberg.
Thanks, Mr. President.
Well, look, they're each specifically legitimate questions, but they only touch a smidgen of what the relationship with China really is about. So I spent hours upon hours with him alone with an interpreter, my interpreter and his, going into great detail. He's very, very straightforward. Doesn't have a Democratic with a small d bone in his body, but he's a smart guy in an ever complex world. So when I was elected, we had a 2-hour conversation for 2 hours, telling our people. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to reestablish our alliances, and I've been very clear with them shortly after this, which is fine. We're going close to an hour. I'm happy. Don't go longer, but one of the things that I'm going to be doing, before too long, I'm going to invite an alliance of democracies to come here to discuss the future. And so we're going to make it clear that in order to deal with these things, we are going to hold China accountable to follow the rules. Whether it relates to the South China Sea or the North China Sea or the agreement made on Taiwan or a whole range of other things. And the third thing, and the thing that I admire about dealing with Xi, is he understands. He makes no pretense about not understanding what I'm saying any more than I do him. I pointed out to him, no leader can be sustained in his position or her position unless they represent the values of the country. And I said, Mr. President, as I've told you before, Americans value the notion of freedom. America values human rights. We don't always live up to our expectations, but there's a value system. We are founded on that, and make it clear what's happening. And he understood that. I made it clear that no American president, we're all on the same page. All on the same page. Look, consequence. Will there be middle class? Successful presidents, better than me, is of really good paying jobs. Really good paying jobs. What's the closest access to an interstate highway? How far am I from freight rail? Is the water available? Is enough water available for me? We have somewhere, I asked the staff to write it down for me, and they did, not for this, but for a longer discussion. We have somewhere in terms of infrastructure, we rank 13th leaking methane. What are we doing? And by the way, so I just find it frustrating. Frustrating. Talk about. Last point I'll make in the infrastructure, and I apologize for spending more time on it, but is that if you think about it, it's the place, really good jobs for people. But we can't build back to what they used to be. We have to build, the global warming's already done significant damage. The roads that used to be above the water level didn't have to worry about where the drainage ditch was. Now you got to rebuild them 3 feet higher because it's not going to go back to what it was before. Only get worse unless we stop it. There's so much we can do. Look at all the schools. How many schools where the kids can't? How many schools are still in a position? How many schools in America we're sending? How many homes, buildings, office complexes? It's amazing. So there's so much we can do that's good stuff, makes people healthier, and creates good jobs. And I think that I got one more question here. And Janet from Univision, our team and several cabinet level officers the other night, we're going to be moving within the next week over 100,000. I mean, 1,000 people out of the border patrols. We're in the process of rearranging, and there's ways to do that. There's ways to do that, a little bit like determining whether or not you got the right code for your credit card. What was your dog's name, kind of thing. I'm being a bit facetious, but not really. So I want to do this as quickly
and physically keep these families from coming to the U.S. when things will not get better in their countries right away.
Guarantee that. But I know, that old thing, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. You know as well as I do. You cover it. You have it's not like somebody sitting on a hand-hewn table in Guatemala, in somewhere in Mexico or in Guadalupe saying, when my great-grandfather got in a coffin ship in the Irish Sea, expectation was he good? So I can't guarantee we're going to solve everything, but I can guarantee we can make everything better. We can make it better. We can change the lives of so many people. And the other thing I want to point out to you, and I hope you point out, I realize it's much more heart-wrenching, and it is, to deal with a 5 and 6 and 7-year-old. But you went down there and you saw the vast majority of these children, 70% are 16 years old, 17 years old, and mostly males. Doesn't make it good, bad, or indifferent, but the idea that we have, that's why we got to act. And yesterday, I asked my team, both the director of the two agencies, but I got to get it out of their system. This is but I'm ready to work with any Republican who wants to help solve the problem or make the situation better. But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.